Hey y'all, good afternoon and happy Monday. Today we are talking about this week's new book releases. I really hope you can't hear whoever is doing their grass. I guess I'll refilm it if you can. I still have time. But this week's big genre is actually going to be thriller, which is surprising. I don't think we've ever had more thriller than the other books. There will be timestamps though, so you can pick which ones you want, which section you want. And I just hope you find something enjoyable and that you want to pick up. The first one is going to be North of Nowhere by Alison Brennan. And this one is after 5 years in hiding from their murderous father, the day Kristen and Ryan McIntyre have been dreading has arrived. Boyd McIntyre, head of a Los Angeles crime family, has finally tracked his kids to a small Montana town and is minutes away from kidnapping them. They barely escape in a small plane, but gunfire hits the fuel line. The pilot, the man who has been raising them as his own, manages to crash land in the middle of the Montana wilderness. The siblings hike deep into the woods, searching desperately for safety, unaware of the severity of the approaching storm. Apparently their aunt, Ruby, left Los Angeles for the army years ago, cutting off contact in order to help keep her niece and nephew safe and free from the horrors of the McIntyre clan. So when she gets an emergency call that the plane has gone down with the kids inside, she drops everything to try and save them. I don't want to keep going too much because then, spoilers with thrillers and stuff. But if she's cut off contact, how does she know that their plane that was going to get them to safety, that they were running to safety? I don't know. This one is interesting. It's None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. It's getting released and all the dates seem to say that it's, this is its first release, except the paperback. The paperback with a different cover came out in July. Same publisher and everything, but yeah. But I don't remember seeing it in July. And its official release date seems to still be this week. I don't know. It was odd. Because normally different editions will say that, that it was originally, this was the publication date. Okay, but celebrating her 45th birthday at her local pub, popular podcaster Alex Summer crosses paths with an unassuming woman called Josie Fair. Josie, it turns out, is also celebrating her 45th birthday. They are, in fact, birthday twins. A few days later, Alex and Josie bump into each other again, this time outside Alex's children's school. Josie has been listening to Alex's podcast and thinks she might be an interesting subject for her series. She is, she tells Alex, on the cusp of great changes in life. Josie's life appears to be strange and complicated, and although Alex finds her unsettling, she can't quite resist the temptation to keep making the podcast. Slowly, she starts to realize that Josie has been hiding some very dark secrets, and before she knows it, Josie has inveigled her way into Alex's life and into her home. But as quickly as she arrived, Josie disappears, and only then does Alex discover that Josie has left a terrible, terrifying legacy in her wake, and that Alex has become the subject of her own true crime podcast, with her life and her family's lives under mortal threat. Who is Josie Fair, and what has she done? Yes, and that's the author who wrote The Paris Apartment, too, that I know was very liked. I have never read it, but I know lots of people liked it. This next one, though, is a supernatural thriller, and it gave ooh vibes. So yeah, I think I will try to check this one out. It's called Mr. Magic by Kirsten White. Where does it start? Okay. 30 years after the tragic accident that shut down production of the classic children's program Mr. Magic, the 5 surviving cast members have done their best to move on. But just as generations of cultishly devoted fans still cling to the lessons they learned from the show, the cast, known as the Circle of Friends, has spent their lives searching for the happiness they felt while they were on it. The friendship, the feeling of belonging, and the protection of Mr. Magic. But with no surviving video of the show, no evidence who directed or produced it, and no records of who or what the beloved host actually was, memories are all the former Circle of Friends has. What? Then a twist of fate brings the castmates back together at the remote desert filming compound that feels like it's been waiting for them all this time. Even though they haven't seen each other for years, they understand one another better than anyone has since. After all, they're the only ones who hold the secret of that circle, the mystery of the magic man in his infinitely black cape, and maybe the answers to what really happened on that deadly last day. But as the Circle of Friends reclaim parts of their past, they begin to wonder, are they here by choice or have they been lured into a trap? because magic never forgets the taste of your friendship. The taste of your friendship. Like, oh my goodness, Okay, then we will go into a more romance. I have a few of these that are interesting sounding. It's Bad Luck Charm by Julie Johnson is the first one. Gwendolyn Goody lives a charmed life. As owner of an occult shop in downtown Salem, Massachusetts, she's accustomed to all things odd and otherworldly. But when a bloody animal sacrifice is left as a warning outside her place of business, the police seem to think Gwen might be the target of some truly evil doers. Suddenly, her sunny existence is riddled with danger in the form of crazed pagans, rogue employees, and nefarious henchmen. And there's only one man who can protect her until the storm passes. Graham Graves has no time for witchy nonsense. Not in his love life, and definitely not in his line of work. Despite the ever-present oddities of his hometown, the private investigator and acclaimed police consultant prides himself on staying objective in every case that comes across his desk. That all changes when Gwendolyn, a woman who gets under his skin like no other, finds herself in the crosshairs of dangerous animals. Graham is determined to make her safe, even if her presence tests his steely resolve. But as their mutual dislike sizzles into unexpected attraction, he becomes even more determined to make her into something else. His. The next one is number 5 in the Dark Olympus series by Katie Roberts. It's called Cruel Seduction, and this one is an Aphrodite and Hephaestus story. That's not what we'll really say about that one. This is a very big one, I think, and each book seems to follow a different couple, but probably after the ones before it in some form or fashion. Like, I'm sure they're all tied together somehow. Okay. And then for romantic suspense, we have The Blonde Identity by Allie Carter. This one just sounded kind of interesting. Yeah. Where does the thing start? Okay. It's the middle of the night in the middle of Paris, and a woman just woke up with no memory. She only knows 3 things for certain. 1, she has a splitting headache. 2, the hottest guy she has probably ever seen is standing over her, telling her to run. And oh yeah, 3, people keep trying to kill her. Something just went loudly down the road, sorry. She doesn't know who or why, but when she sees footage of herself fighting off a dozen men, there's only one explanation. Obviously, she's a spy. Except, according to Mr. Hot Guy, she's not. She's a spy's identical twin sister. Too bad the only person who knows she's not the woman they're looking for is this very grouchy, very sexy, very secret agent who, reluctantly, agrees to help her. Which is easier said than done when a criminal organization wants you dead and every intelligence service in the world wants you caught. Luckily, no one is looking for a pair of lovesick newlyweds on their honeymoon, and so they're lying their way across Europe, dodging bullets and faking kisses as they race to unravel a deadly conspiracy and clear her sister's name. But with every secret they uncover, the truth shifts until she no longer knows who to trust, the twin she can't remember or the mysterious man she can't let herself forget. Where is her twin through all of this? Then we have YA. This first one is just listed as regular YA, but it does give paranormal vibes. So I wrote paranormal next week. That's The Dark Place by Brittany S. Lewis. 17-year-old Haley Williams didn't ask to disappear. She did disappear. And not only that, but when she vanished from our world, she materialized in a dark, twisted version of the night that changed her life forever, the night her older brother went missing. Just as Haley realizes this moment could be the key to unraveling the truth about her brother, she's yanked away from the dark place back to our world. Craving a sense of normalcy, she goes to a party with her best friend where she meets Elam Rhodes. Tall, handsome, and undeniably, inexplicably familiar, Haley can't help the pull she feels towards him. It's a classic teen girl meets boy situation until it happens again. She disappears right in front of him. Together, Haley and Elam investigate the truth about time, space, and reality, with Haley increasingly convinced her time travel holds the key to saving her brother. But the more they learn, the more Haley begins to see darkness lurking in her world and in herself. So yeah, see, definitely gives the paranormal vibes there. And then fantasy. And this one, is this it? Yes. This first one, I think, is the Fairy Loot adult book for August. It's called Forged by Blood by Aber Okason. I know I mispronounced it. Just gonna apologize and move on. In the midst of a tyrannical regime and political invasion, Demi just wants to survive. To avoid the suspicion of the non-magical Ajays who occupy her ancestral homeland of Efe. I'm going to mispronounce everything. To escape the king's brutal genocide of her people, the darker-skinned magic-wielding Oso and live peacefully with her secretive mother while learning to control the terrifying blood magic that is her birthright. But when Demi's misplaced trust costs her mother's life, survival gives way to vengeance. She bides her time until the devious Lord Etwinsky grants her the perfect opportunity. Kidnap the Ajay prince, Jonas, and bargain with his life to save the remaining Oso. With the help of her reckless childhood friend Colin, that one looks normal, Demi succeeds, but she discovers that she and Jonas share more than deadly secrets. Every moment tangles them further into a forbidden, unmistakable attraction, much to Colin's and Demi's distress. The kidnapping is now a joint mission to return to the king, help get Lord Ekawinzi on the council, and bolster the voice of the Oso in a system designed to silence them. But the way is dangerous. Demi's magic is growing, yet uncertain, and it's not clear if she can trust the two men at her side. It says it's a tale of redemption, rebellion, race, class, love, and trust and betrayal. It's supposed to be an epic fantasy. The first of a duology. Okay, so it's going to be a duology inspired by Nigerian mythology. So, duology, short, yes. Next is more light fantasy, I think. It's Medusa's Sisters by Lauren J.A. Bear. The end of the story is only the beginning. Even before they were transformed into Gorgons, Medusa, Cintho, and Uriel were unique among their immortal family. Curious about mortals and their lives, Medusa and her sisters entered the human world in search of a place to belong, yet quickly found themselves at the perilous center of a dangerous Olympian rivalry and learned too late that the god's love is a violent one. Forgotten by history and diminished by poets, the other two Gorgons have never been more than horrifying hags, damned and doomed. But they were sisters first, and their journey from lowly seaborn origins to the outskirts of a pantheon is a journey that rests hidden underneath their scales. Monsters, but not monstrous, Cintho and Aurelie will step into the light for the first time to tell the story of how all three sisters lived and were changed by each other, as they struggle against the inherent conflict between sisterhood and individuality, myth and truth, vengeance and peace. The next one is going to be a paranormal fantasy, and this is Masters of Death by Olivia Blake. This one is being traditionally published, but it was, I do believe, originally self-published a few years ago, like 2016, maybe? But it seems like she's getting all of her books republished. There's a game that the immortals play. There's only one rule: don't lose. Viola Merrick is a struggling real estate agent and a vampire, but her biggest problem currently is that the house she needs to sell is haunted. The ghost haunting the mansion has been murdered, and until she can solve the mystery of how he died, he refuses to move on. Fox Demora is a medium, though he is also the most definitely a shameless fraud. He isn't entirely without his uses, seeing as he's actually the godson of death. When Viola seeks out Fox to help her with the ghost infestation, he becomes inextricably involved in a quest that neither he nor Vi expects or wants. But with the help of an unruly poltergeist, a demonic personal trainer, a sharp-voiced angel, a love-stricken reaper, and a few mindfulness-practicing creatures, Vi and Fox soon discover the difference between a mysterious lost love and an annoying dead body isn't nearly as distinct as they thought. Okay, that last part was really funny. And this next one is listed as sci-fi. And this one made me Google. And I will explain what it made me Google at the end. It's called Whalefall, though, by Daniel Krauss. It's described as The Martian meets 127 Hours in this powerfully humane and scientifically accurate thriller about a scuba diver. And, he's trying to escape before he runs out of oxygen. Jay Garnier has given himself a fool's errand to find the remains of his deceased father in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Montessori Beach. He knows it's a long shot, but Jay feels it's the only way for him to lift the weight of guilt he's carried since his dad's death by suicide the previous year. The dive begins well enough, but the sudden appearance of a giant squid puts Jay in very real jeopardy, made indefinitely worse by the arrival of a sperm whale looking to feed. Suddenly, Jay is caught in the squid's tentacles and is drawn into the whale's mouth, where he is pulled into the first of its 4 stomachs. He quickly realizes he has only 1 hour before his oxygen tanks run out. 1 hour to defeat his demons and escape the belly of a whale. So I had to Google, what do sperm whales eat? Because I was like, but whales don't eat big things. They do. Sperm whales eat squids. Large squids too. And apparently they'll have scars from the squid's tentacles and stuff. And they use suction to eat them. This is not at all part of it, but I had to Google it because I was like, this doesn't sound realistic. It is apparently very realistic. And those whales have 4 stomachs. And yeah, so our main character here is going to have an hour to get out of said stomach. The 2 reviews for it were actually pretty good. Like, they were high. And this is put out by MTV Books. Did not know that was a thing either. So yeah, this sounds vaguely interesting. Like, okay. It was funny though, one of the reviewers had to put that their pet peeve in there was that, you know, females with green eyes in books show up too often based off how much, there's only a 2% population that have green eyes. And I was like, oh my god, it's so true. Animes and books always seem to put, you know, the green-eyed people, but they're so rare. I hardly ever see anybody else with green eyes. My kids didn't even come out with green eyes. Okay, and our last one though is a fiction, dystopian type fiction. This one is a sequel though. It is Out of the Dawn by PC Cast. It's the sequel to Into the Mist. Haven't read it. I've only read like one other thing by them. Well, I read The House of Night, and I read Sisters of Salem. That was both her and her daughter. And both of those just eventually went bad. I did read one of their books a long time ago that was just the one of them. But this is dystopian, so who knows, maybe it'd work better. The first book was described as The Power Meets the Stand, and a gripping take on female power and the inevitable destructive path of violent patriarchs. As men fall into the mist, the age of womankind begins to rise. The world we know ends when an attack on the U.S. unleashes bombs that deliver fire and biological destruction. Along with sonic detonations and devastating earthquakes, the bombs have also brought the green mist. If breathed in, it is deadly to all men, but alters the body chemistry of many women, imbuing them with supernatural abilities. So I'm not sure about this one though. I'm not. Because I mean, the aspects, maybe it'll be okay. But I know from their previous works how, I don't know, and then also it's supposed to be an adult, you know, thing. So not teenager-ish. I don't know, anybody who's read Into the Mist, let me know what you ended up thinking about it. But the sequel is coming out now. That is all for this week's list. Maybe you were able to find something good sounding that you want to add to your TBR, pick up soon, just check out. I definitely think I want to go find The Magic Man now and be able to tell you guys more about it, because yeah, that one I think might stick in my brain. Whether or not I can read it this month though with the Aurelium TBR, I don't know. I don't know. But if this was your first video, I hope that you did enjoy it. And if you like it, you can check out some of my other videos. I have unboxings, vlogs. Saturdays was kind of chaos, and I'll understand if you don't want to watch that one or like that one. But if this is your first one, or you've seen any of my other ones, maybe you'll consider subscribing if you like my content and help us reach 500 so I can tell you about the giveaway I have planned. Like, I already have everything ready. Self-promotion. I hope y'all are having an awesome day and finding something cool to read. Bye, y'all.